morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a very special honor for me to be here today, and I would like to let you know why. Many years ago, I assume about 12 years ago, I was contacted by the former CEO of Windhoek, Cormac Callanan, and he asked me whether I would be available for some Slovenian colleagues to train them on establishing a hotline. There's the interest to establish a hotline in Slovenia, and perhaps as we are so close neighbors, we could assist our colleagues how to do so. So, as I said, about 12 years ago, we met for the first time. They came to my office. They looked at my at the way how we deal with reports at the Austrian hotline, and now we are here 10 years after the hotline was successfully established, and it's a great honor, a great pleasure to see how far they approached and what they were able to develop. So allow me to say a little bit about my home hotline. Stopline was founded in 1998, so we are nearly there to celebrate our 20th anniversary. And we have two focuses. We have the focus of child sexual abuse material, and we have the focus of National Socialism, which is a specific Austrian law on right-wing development. The aim, as I think we share with all the hotlines, is to delete this illegal material from being online, so that it cannot be accessed anymore by the public. Since the beginning, we received more than 60,000 reports, and we processed them. As similar to the Slovenian hotline, we are funded partly through EC, the Connecting Europe Facility Program, and also by the Austrian Public Registry. Just to give you an idea about the increase of reports over the years, as I said, we have processed about 60,000 reports, from which about 20% were actually referring to illegal content. What might be interesting for you is what are the reports, what are they dealing, or what are they referring to, and what are they if they're not illegal. As I said, it's about 20% over the years. Here I'm showing the numbers for 2016, and you can see that about 13% of the actually reported content is defined to be CSAM in a way that it is illegal under Austrian law. A lot of reports refer to adult pornography, so nothing really we are dealing with, and a small percentage is referring to National Socialism. This slide is very important for me because I would like to give you an idea why my title says that hotlines is a good example for national and especially international cooperation. What you can see here is the most important countries of origin for the content that we were reported to as a hotline. You can see the far biggest number of reports that we received, the content is hosted in the US. It's a little bit is hosted in the Netherlands, in Russia, in Canada, so it's spread all over the place. And when you see up there's a small hint referring to Austria. So in 2016, we had only one report that was actually hosted, where content was actually hosted in Austria. So that's a very, very small minority of the reports, and that brings me to the second graphic, which shows you that about 90% we could forward to another hotline. So as you see the numbers, this is a very, very important thing for us to do. So how does it work? You have all heard about info before, I guess. So I'm not going very much into detail, just to give you an update. Right now there are 53 hotlines in 48 countries, members of INHO. It was founded in 1998 with 8 members, so we are very proud to be able to have it established. So far, you see on the map, on the world map, that it's covering a lot of areas already. Of course, still a lot more to do to be able to cover everything. What are the major aims of INHO? The major aim, of course, is the exchange of reports, and I'll come back to that. On the other hand, we support new hotlines to to develop. We exchange knowledge and experience, and we lobby policymakers. So the exchange of reports, it seems very trivial, but it's the most important thing for INHOC to do. Why? As I said before, for example, in 2016, we had only one report that referred to content posted in Austria. In 2015, it was like 5 reports. So the number is really, really low in comparison to the 700 that are not posted in Austria. So here the cooperation international is essential. Why? In Austria, we were able to establish a very, very good and close cooperation with our local stakeholders. So we have very close contacts with the national ISPs, and we have a very good contact with law enforcement. That helps us to take down content reported in Austria, and I'm proud to say that in the one case we had last year and the low number of cases we had during the last few years, we always were able to have the content taken down within 24 hours. So immediately after we received the report, it is progressed and successfully deleted from the internet. But there are those 700 cases that we cannot do anything further because we cannot approach the ISP that is not located in Austria. So as we were able to establish those procedures in Austria, our partner colleagues within INHOC were able to do that at their national country, as you can see here in Slovenia. When I look around the room and see those many faces that are related to the hotline in one or the other way. So this gives us the possibility to really do something against the content. So if we have content hosted in Slovenia, for example, we can approach Spletno Oko, and Spletno Oko can make sure that the content is gone within a very short period of time, which we never could do from our Austrian point of view. So how does it work? We have a joint INHOC-Interpol database. It's called ICCAN. It's a very successful project because it helps us in many ways. The one way is that we avoid doing reports on the same URL. We feed the URL into the database, so all the other hotlines see that it's already been reported on. But the other thing that is even more important is that the database is able to store the images. It is encrypted in hash code, and it's compared to all pictures that are in future reports. So anytime I come over a report where the pictures is already known in the database, I don't have to look at the picture again and again. So that helps the content analysts that are spread over the hotlines, which is a number of about 150 content analysts, that helps them not to have to look at the content every time again and again. Another very important aspect, it's not the most recent numbers, but I think you can see very well what I would like to let you know. This is the number of, this is the statistics, how fast reports are forwarded from the moment they are received by a hotline to law enforcement, and how quickly they are processed. So you see that over the years, this rate increased to 98% of the reports that are processed within one day, which I think is really successful. And the even bigger success that INHOC can report about is this slide, because it shows the time of takedown. So in the moment the hotline receives a report until the moment when the content is actually taken down, so it cannot be accessed anymore on the internet. And as you can see, we were able to increase the number of content that is taken down within 1 to 3 days to 91%. So really, nearly all reports are dealt with finally by the hosting ISP within 3 working days. And I think that's a very huge success, because this is the only way to make sure that the content cannot be accessed anymore on the internet. Another very important aspect, or as I said before, of this big network is new membership. As you can see as you have seen from my slide, in our case, we are quite traditional on on the hosting countries. A lot of reports do come from the US. That has never changed during the last nearly 20 years. But there are countries coming up because also the criminals know where they shall host the content, so that it's the most difficult to approach them. And for example, I can tell you an example that I have seen over the years. Since a few years, we have 2 hotlines in Russia. Russia has been one of the most hosted countries in the first years of InHost. But since there are the hotlines in place, they have done so much lobbying, they have done such a good work. The law has been increased and is much stricter than it has been before. The awareness amongst the population has increased a lot. So the numbers of free thoughts that refer to Russia has decreased in a very high way. So as you can see, the work of a hotline in a country is very essential and very necessary. So it's the aim of InHost to increase the membership as good as possible over the years. You can see here, for example, in 2017, we gained Japan and Colombia as 2 new hotlines, working on a few more at the moment through the foundation. Another very important aspect is the exchange of knowledge. The work of the hotline, or especially the work of the content analyst, is quite unique. It's not something that you can talk to with your friends during a nice dinner. It's not something that you really know whom to exchange your experience with. So, especially on that occasion, it's very, very important to have a network like InHost to be able to compare, to assist each other, and to exchange the knowledge and experience, and also to realize new trends. InHost has a few possibilities to assist on that. Besides the regular training meetings that we have and the webinars that are offered at the InHost level, we have a bursary program, and we have the mentor program. The mentor program is the one I described for Explain Over in the beginning. So it helps kind of old established hotlines help the new emerging hotlines by visiting each other, by sharing databases, by showing procedures, and also perhaps inviting stakeholders to experience that. And the other program is the bursary, so-called bursary program, that allows content analysts to work with another hotline for a few days to learn about the ways how they deal with the reports, and so collect a lot of experience that cannot be collected on a national level, as there is hardly anybody besides law enforcement usually whom to share this experience with. And of course, there are a lot of challenges which I think needs a network very much to cope with them. It's of course, as I said before, it's a country with no hotlines yet, but it's also technical developments. The criminals are using the better techniques and using different opportunities. For example, to hide the country of origin, they're using the dark web. They're using Tor as one technology, and the mobile devices, for example. When I look at the reports over the last few years, there's a huge change in the content that you can see. Now, during the last 2 or 3 years, we realized that a lot of content that is reported to the hotline and that shows minors in sexual situations is self-produced. We could have never imagined that a few years ago, because it was difficult to have access to cameras, to upload this on the internet. Now everybody has his own camera, his own mobile phone, has constant internet access, and it's very easy to upload the content, and that can be seen in the reports. And that is, for example, a topic that is very, very necessary to work not only on the national level, but also on the international level. And of course, and that goes kind of like one hand in hand, is the change in society. As I said, this so-called sexting, self-produced images is increasing. This is very challenging, also how to cover that by law, for example. Do we really want our 14-year-old children that post a picture to be dealt with as criminals? So a lot of challenging issues that come up and that brings me to my concluding words, that I ask you to keep the support for the hotline and to work together as a big network to fight our common aim.